Hello and happy Halloween, boys and girls. Greg from the Scary Spirits podcast here to once again make you a cocktail. And this week's cocktail is called the Possession Punch. So it's going to be a big drink. So I'm going to start with a pitcher with ice. To that I'm going to add 1 cup apple juice. Next, Cointreau, another cup. Next, lemon juice, another cup. More or less. A 12-ounce can of IPA beer. I am using Lagunitas Daytime IPA, a crisp session IPA. Low cal, 4% alcohol. Delicious. Finally, whiskey. 1 cup of whiskey. I don't know if there's a cup in there or not. We'll see. Yep. 1 cup of whiskey. Need more Maker's Mark. And we're going to stir that up a little bit. Then we're going to add orange and apple slices. Like so. Take our glass. Possession Punch. And I'll garnish with an orange and apple slice. There you have it, boys and girls. Not bad. Yeah. Possession Punch. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoy the podcast. See ya.
Halloween parties in the 80s were totally lit. Need proof? Just watch this week's movie on the Scary Spirits podcast, Night of the Demons. It's kind of like The Breakfast Club, but with demonic possession instead of detention. Come to think of it, I'm pretty sure Greg had some banger Halloween parties back in the day. I wonder if evil spirits were involved at those shindigs. Or if Greg's unholy aura was enough to keep the party hopping. I guess we'll never really know, because what happens at Halloween parties stays at Halloween parties, even when evil demon possession is involved. Cheers!
Welcome to the Scary Spirits podcast. Please be advised that the presenters may use adult language and or discuss adult situations. This podcast is not intended for younger listeners or those that may be easily offended. So, if you're ready, let's go.
Happy Halloween. I'm Greg.
It's after Halloween.
The day after?
You're still on the
Just
roll.
go with it, Karen. Go.
Hi, everyone. I'm Karen.
And welcome to the Scary Spirits Podcast, the podcast that combines the two very different yet highly compatible worlds of scary films and alcoholic spirits.
What could possibly go wrong?
Indeed. How are you, Karen, on
I'm
this day after Halloween?
Coming down from my sugar high. How are you, Greg?
I'm okay. Ask me next week. It's a little too soon, Karen.
Okay, gotcha. But you had a great time handing out candy. You always do.
I'm sure I did, Karen. It's all a blur. I need time to settle down and really reflect on the experience before I can speak to it.
Come back to your center.
Yes. Now, Karen, was this film my choice?
Yes.
The film I have chosen, Karen, is Night of the Demons from 1988.
And why did you pick this?
Well, Karen, obviously, it occurs on Halloween during a Halloween party.
It does.
And today being November 1st, if you're listening to this on the day it goes live, it's the day after Halloween. So
it's like the walk of shame after Halloween night.
Is it?
That's what this movie is. There is a teeny tiny bit of it the day after Halloween.
There is.
So you're right. You're timely.
The very end. Yeah. Well, duh, Karen.
You have a drink to go with it?
I do, Karen.
Excellent. What is that?
The drink I've chosen is called the Possession Punch.
Appropriate.
So next year, boys and girls, on your Halloween parties, you should make a big bowl of Possession Punch to serve to your guests.
Yeah, if your party starts to lull a little bit, bring out the Possession Punch. That'll get things going.
Yes. Would you like to know how to make it, Karen?
Of course.
So we're going to need 1 cup of apple juice, 1 cup of Cointreau, 1 cup of fresh lemon juice from the bottle, a 12-ounce IPA beer, Karen, and 1 cup of whiskey.
What'd you use?
For the whiskey?
Yes.
I finished off my bottle of Maker's Mark. I had almost exactly 1 cup left. Funny how that works out.
Well, I told Greg before we started, I did not make this drink because for some odd reason, we did not have beer in the house. There must have been some.
Speaking of the walk of shame, Karen.
Some massive evaporation.
Shame.
Some massive evaporation.
No beer
thing
in the
happened.
house?
I know, it's crazy. So, as we say here on the Scary Spirits podcast, you can do you. So I have my gin and tonic ready to go. But before we go further, how many...
Do you have a black light, Karen, so it is fluorescent and glowing?
No. How many servings do you think that makes?
I'm not sure.
2 or 3?
Oh, at least.
Okay.
Especially when you put it in a glass filled with ice, you know?
Oh, okay. Yeah, but if it was in a big punch bowl, well, I guess you could put ice in your cup.
Yeah, and I was grabbing a ladle with the little tiny cups, little tiny Dixie paper cups, Karen.
Little finger up when you drink it. It just didn't look like that many, but you think it would serve?
It's
5
not
people?
A lot, really. Like I told you, I made it in like a pitcher, right? It's probably a gallon pitcher. I put some ice in it, not a lot, but it filled about half the gallon. So it's about a half gallon, I guess.
So a small soiree.
Yeah, very small, intimate Halloween party, Karen.
Yes. Okay. Well, if you have other drinks too,
oh, hell
it'd be
yeah,
perfect.
You got to have other drinks. And if you need more drinks for your Halloween party, boys and girls, next year, because of course it's too late now, unless you're having one.
They can
Saturday
keep the party
after
going.
Halloween.
Yeah, they can keep it going.
We have tons of recipes in our recipe den on our website. But basically, to make the drink, Karen, you add all the ingredients to a batch vessel, it says.
Ooh, that even sounds possession-like.
I know. So I used a pitcher. Then you garnish with lemon wheels or apple slices. It says lemon. Totally blew that one. I used orange slices, Karen, but whatever.
Well, they're just because if you used fresh lemons, you'd have them.
I would. But it's got Cointreau in it, which is an orange liqueur. So Orange, lemons,
You be you,
apples,
Greg.
fruit. You do whatever you want.
It's fine.
And then you serve with ice, Karen. And this recipe was from Cointreau.com. So it must be
Excellent.
good.
Yeah.
It is pretty good, actually. And I'm sure it'll be better once my ice melts. It's very whiskey and lemon forward.
Hmm.
When I
But
first
that's good.
tasted
If you used a honey whiskey, I bet it'd be really good.
Oh my
Whiskey,
God. I
whiskey,
should have
honey,
done
and
that.
lemon. That'd be good.
I don't think I have any honey whiskey. No, I don't. But, hot toddy season is almost upon us, Karen. I'll have to go get some. Should we give our friends and listeners time to make their own possession punch?
I think we should.
Probably give them extra time to find a punch bowl and a ladle or a pitcher, whatever. Hold on. And we're back.
Yes, we are.
Might you have a brief synopsis for us?
I have the briefest of synopses.
Ooh, synopses. Go on. Tell us all a story, Karen.
Wild teenage girls hold a Halloween seance in an old funeral parlor to scare their friends.
Go on.
That's it. Leaves you hanging.
We are a match, Karen. So if you're playing bingo, you get a square.
Where can they find a bingo card, Greg?
Well, if they subscribe to our newsletter, Karen, our monthly newsletter, apparently we're including bingo cards now with every edition. So if I say Karen, for instance, you get a square. If I say we are a match, you may get a square, and so on and so forth, Karen. Right?
I'm just bringing joy, Greg. Just bringing joy.
You are.
I added, it's bigger. This bingo card in the October newsletter that just came out this month.
October.
Yes. This last month is bigger than the one that came out in September.
Okay. Good to know. So I'm sure, people playing the Karen drinking game, they quickly decided that, no, I can't do that shit anymore.
Right. We were ending up with people in the hospital, so we had to move on to a new game.
So we have bingo cards now in our newsletter. Subscribe on our website. And when you do, you'll get the newest edition immediately to download. And we won't email you a bunch of crap, just one newsletter at the beginning of the month. All right, Karen, Night of the Demons from 1988. Tell us, what did you really enjoy in this film?
I mean, everything I enjoyed.
Yeah, everything. Well, we want to keep it like an hour or so. So,
all right, I'll keep it short.
Don't go on and on.
Okay. I thought the makeup was good. Reasonable, anyway. Not great, but not terrible. There was some really cool lighting at certain times in the film that I really liked. A couple of photography shots I liked, filming things. For instance, there was a broken mirror on the ground and each character was reflected.
I made a note right then, Karen.
Yeah, I thought that was good. The set I thought was good. I mean, it's just
very dark.
Basically,
you don't really see a lot of it.
Yeah, that's part of the issue. But it was a creepy old looking house-like place.
But that's good, Karen. That's what I tell myself every year when I'm trying to make my shit perfect. I always say, "Oh, it'll be dark. No one's going to see that little
exactly.
thing.
You can light what you want them to see."
Go on. What else?
That's pretty much it, I think.
Really?
Yeah. What do you got? You can fill in the rest of the hour. What do you got?
I agree. The makeup was better than I expected. I mean, I've seen stills. I looked at stills, so I kind of knew what was coming, but it was better than I expected. There were some nice fake breasts when we're talking about makeup. And when that scene came on, I didn't know it was going to happen exactly, but I thought, those don't look quite real, but whatever.
Yeah, there was no movement.
Sets were good. I thought in general, it was very fun. Thought it was fun. At one point, I wrote that. So one of the characters is dressed as Alice, right? In Alice in Wonderland.
Yes, and that's good that you brought it up.
And
Yeah.
she's like, quote unquote, the final girl, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's very, at one point I wrote down, has a very Alice in Wonderland like feel to it.
I agree. I thought
was
the same
clever.
thing. Yeah. I can't remember when it dawned on me, but it did, that she was in a world she didn't understand. And there was a shot where you could I think it's a full body shot. You see her head to toe, and everything surrounding
she's
her
running down the halls and all the doors are closing and things like that. And
it's wondrous and magical kind of. And you're right. That was clever. I will give you that.
It was clever. So I'm assuming here that the acting was purposely cheesy.
I guess, but I thought it was horrible.
Well, I think it was on purpose, though.
Maybe. Especially, I mean, some were way worse than others, I thought.
Yeah. So the girl who played Suzanne has been in many a horror film, Karen. She's at all the conventions and whatnot. So Judy, who was dressed as Alice, the girl who played her is most known for being in the primetime soap opera Dallas. Karen, did you watch Dallas back in the late 80s?
I watched some of it, but I didn't recognize her.
She's most known for being J.R. Ewing's second wife.
Oh, I don't think I watched Dallas that long.
I think she won like a soap opera Emmy or award or some shit, whatever they give to soap opera people. So I think she was probably a better actor than what she put on in this, because I think they were purposely trying to be cheesy.
Well, okay, then that worked.
Cheesy, horny teens. That's what I think. So I'm going with that. So I'm going to say the acting was pretty good. I mean, some of the stuff they do, you can't be serious, right?
I guess.
Anything else, Karen?
No, I think it's pretty much what you would expect. So it wasn't extremely disappointed or anything. I mean, there are things that I didn't like.
Yeah.
About it particularly, but.
So in a word, I'm going to say it was fun.
You can use that word.
I thought it was fun. There were funny parts. It's almost a horror comedy. Almost.
I'm not sure it was supposed to be a horror comedy, though. I mean, I know you're going with that, but I'm not sure.
But that's why it's become a cult classic, I'm sure.
Yeah, but cult classics can become cult classics because they're just terrible.
And it's a whole franchise as well. So
exactly. But so is Leprechaun.
Yes,
you know, so I'm just saying, I think I'll try to accept your explanation, but I'm not 100% on board with it. But
that's okay, Karen. Everyone's entitled to their opinion, even if they're wrong.
Exactly.
All right, Karen, tell us, was there anything at all that you didn't like or no?
Well, if they were acting purposely campy, then I guess I can't really say the acting. Although, again, there were a lot of characters.
I think they all were, even down to like Mom, who we only saw for like 10 seconds. They were all kind of over the top acting. And I think it was by design.
I guess. But who was it? Max's girlfriend. I thought she was just like so terrible.
That would be Helen.
No, not Helen, the brunette.
No, yeah. Franny.
Again, so there were so many of the kids, I couldn't remember their names. And a lot of times I just said, oh, the blonde girl or that's just because I'm old. There were only 10 of them, I think.
There were 1, 2, 3. I have 10 exactly written down.
Yeah. So it's not that bad, but I think one thing that
as usual, Karen, I wrote down the cast names, the characters' names, and then as I figured out who they were, I wrote down next to them what costume they were wearing, so I could tell who they were.
There were some inconsistencies in it that I thought were blatantly obvious, and one is kind of minor. But did you notice at the end, Max's demon makeup was basically nothing compared to everyone else's?
I didn't notice that, but I did notice that all of a sudden he put his his smock or his what are they called? His
shirt, his
yeah,
scrubs,
scrubs.
his scrubs back
He
on.
put his scrubs back on with one arm somehow. So I didn't notice that at the end.
But he looks more like a zombie than a demon. He's just,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it stood out because he.
Well, most of them look like more like zombies at the end.
Yeah, but that wasn't. And then there were some inconsistency character wise with the two remaining characters, Roger and
Judy.
At some point, Judy is like so incapacitated by fear that she can't stand up, she can't move. Then all of a sudden she becomes the brains and the brawn of the operation, and she's going to save and then in the next scene, she's too afraid to do anything again. It's like, well, which is it? Is she, taking charge and powerful, or is she a damsel in distress that constantly needs to be saved? There was inconsistencies that way character wise for me. And some of the characters, I mean, I guess it's 1988.
I didn't notice that, Karen.
They were a little over the top with, like, Helen was treated horribly by everyone through the whole movie.
She was. She was just called a bitch the whole time.
I thought for no reason. So, that, I think watching it from now versus then, it really grated on me that, they were
But in 1988, you would have thought it was funny.
Which is a shame, but whatever.
But
I'm not sure. I don't think I would have.
Well, we couldn't have gotten to the theater to see it because it was rated R, Karen. We would have had a parent or guardian with us because
sure.
We were so young in 1988.
I don't think I would have found it funny then, but whatever. It's fine. It's a minor thing, and it was done a lot in these teenage movies back then. But it just now, it's not as acceptable now, especially to me. So, like, what? It's like, what did she do? She didn't do anything. It's not even like she was acting in a way to get that. Like, sometimes people they'll be set up, and then you get called the names and everything or whatever. But she was just being a normal, reasonable person.
Yeah, I had the same feeling watching it. I was thinking, a stooge who keeps calling her a bitch the whole fucking movie. I'm like, when we first meet them, they're in like the front of the car together. And I'm like, are they dating?
I thought
Why is he being
were.
such a dick to her? I was like,
the whole time.
Dude.
But even the relationship even between the brother and sister and mother, that was very common in the 80s to have the smart ass little brother. Where if my brother said shit like that to me when I was that age, I would have beat him.
Would your brother have hidden in your closet while you were getting dressed and talked about your rack?
No, not at all. They wanted nothing to do with my rack or lack thereof. It's just, that's one of those 80s tropes with the smart ass little kid, I find it more annoying now than I did then.
I have no little brother, so no, I cannot comment.
But as I said, I think this movie is what you expect it to be. We will probably argue at the end with what rating we would want to give it, but it's not going to tax your brain. It's not, I think
it's a fun,
again, I wouldn't necessarily call it
like
fun,
a Halloween party. Have that on and have your possession punch.
some popcorn and
maybe play some parlor games.
Get out the Ouija board.
Yeah.
Or maybe this will warn you why you shouldn't.
Have a seance,
all the good fun stuff.
There's not really a lot I didn't like about it. I didn't care for the music. Tell you that.
Synthesizers, 80s stuff.
Yeah.
And some goth music. And
there was a song that sounded very familiar to me, but it wasn't like they basically ripped off a song. We're not even in the 80s, I think from the 70s, but it's what it sounded like to me.
Yeah, and the credits were exceedingly long in the beginning, I thought.
They were.
And there were a lot of graphics. It's like they were showing off their ability to make graphics or something. The graphics weren't terrible or anything. It was fine, but it just seemed like it was one name per I would say, slide almost in there. So it took a very long time where you thought, wow, it's still going.
And in my notes, I have exactly how long it took.
Oh, okay.
Once we get
I just
there.
noticed it was much longer than usual. They didn't have a lot of names. They didn't say actors on one thing. It was like everybody got their own little graphic display. It was fine.
It kind of felt like they wanted it to be 90 minutes. So they needed to stretch out the opening and then have the ending credits as well. So,
I mean, there are parts of it that didn't even need to really be there. Like the whole thing with the little brother. None of that's necessary. They could have done that in like 2 minutes. He picks her up. Sal does the little thing with the brother, sets that up, and it's done. They could have knocked off another 10 minutes. It's fine that it's in there, but there's no real purpose for it.
Maybe they're trying to appeal to teenage girls in 1988 who have younger brothers that act like that, Karen. I don't know.
There aren't very many that would act like that.
Or the don't act like that, so that must have makes it funny. I don't know.
Most little brothers don't want to talk about their sister's breasts, no matter what. Older or younger brothers.
Okay. Good to know. Anything else you didn't like?
No.
That's all I got. Just the music.
And it was a bit dark. It's one of those movies that I know I've said it before, but if my mom took us to the drive-in to watch it, there would be entire scenes that you would not be able to see.
Yeah, but it was very dark. It's very Halloween, though. You could pick a worse film to watch on Halloween. I'm just saying. All right, let's get to it. What kind of cocktail rating you want to give it, Karen?
I'd give it a 4.
I was writing 3. You think it's 4?
Yeah, because I don't really buy into that they were doing it on purpose. I mean, I get now we look back on it and you know, if my movie had become a cult classic and they said that's why, I'd say, yes, that's exactly why we acted like that. But I don't think they did.
I do.
And I think we've given movies 3s that are much better than this, even if they are being campy. I think it drags a little in the beginning, too. Takes a while to get moving.
Okay.
I mean, if you think it's a 3.
No, I'll go with your 4.
You picked it. It's your movie.
I did.
I mean, I would fight for my movie if I thought it was a 3, but
Karen,
but look at some of the 3s and you'll see that.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a Hammer film, is it, Karen? Any Hammer film is better.
It reminded me of, what was the one with the 3 girls on the Santa with
Sleigh Bells?
Sleigh Bells. And
I think I picked that one as well.
Yes, but Sleigh Bells was better than this. And that was campy and all that. It had the same kind of elements in it. And I thought it was much better than this.
Is it because it had Barry Bostwick in it, Karen?
No, I think it was the same feel to me, but I just kept, this film reminded me of that one in not style or anything else. I just kept thinking, wow, this is like Sleigh Bells. And so that's why I would give it a 4 instead of a 3, because that one I'm sure we gave a 3 and that one was much better than this, in my opinion.
As I said, it has become kind of a cult film because it's very teenage 80s horror film. So people of a certain age like to go back and watch it now, Karen. People who were young back in the 80s. Know anyone like that, Karen?
Vaguely.
Okay, we'll give it a 4. Would you like to hear a review from the Times, Karen?
Absolutely, I would. Critics Corner, bring it on.
So first I'll say this has a 42% approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes. It's not good. It's about 4 cocktail rating, right? 6.1 out of 10 on IMDb, so that's a little better. And 89% of those Google users like this movie.
So do you think the Rotten Tomatoes people and even the IMDb people don't get it? You think it's like me thinking they're just terrible, but you saying, but that's how it's supposed to be? Like, I missed it and I didn't get it?
Maybe, because I know I'm just reading here that like Dread Central, which is a pretty reputable horror film site, called it fun and lively.
Bloody Disgusting, another reputable one, praised the DVD release, calling it the perfect DVD for all fans of this lost era, the 80s horror film. So,
I don't know. The 80s horror film, I think of Lost Boys, and that's just way better. No, like, but I think maybe I didn't get it.
no, I think you got it, but it's not. Doesn't have the
But
budget of Lost Boys for one.
I didn't. I think I took it too seriously. I was frustrated with kind of how horrible the acting was sometimes. I was just like, oh, this is so bad, but I think I missed that.
It's similar to Nightmare on Elm Street, right? Humor wise,
Yeah.
like Angela, the main demon or whatever. They try to throw in some Freddy Krueger one-liners. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there are some funny little punchlines. I guess you're right. There was one of them that made me laugh. I can't remember what it was.
Nightmare on Elm Street's 1984, and this is 1988. So I'm sure they're trying to build off of that in a low budget way. But it earned 3.1 million at the US box office. So I'm sure that was less than the budget. So it made money. But anyway, a review from the time. The review I have is from the Washington Post, Karen. November 8th, 1988. And this film came out in September, so I don't know what took the Washington Post so long to freaking watch it and review it.
Get their shit together.
It didn't open nationwide at the same time, right? So it opened in September regionally, and then it moved around the country, basically. All right, so I'm pretty much going to read the whole thing. It's not very long. Night of the Demons, Washington Post, November 8th, 1988. Richard Harrington is the reviewer, Karen.
Oh, good. I like him.
Night of the Demons opened 5 days after Halloween, which is about par for this under-budgeted film. A convergence of stereotypes and cliches. Demons sounds like it was recorded in a bathroom and plays like it was conceived in a vacuum. I agree with that. The sound is pretty bad when they're talking, the audio. There's no telling what will dredge up, especially in this old place, says one never to get beyond teenage teen. And he could just as well be speaking for the scriptwriter, Joe Augustine, and director Kevin Tenney. The plot brings a bunch of kids to deserted Hull House for a Halloween party. They include Squeaky Clean Angela and Preppy Jay, Greaseball Sal.
That's not right.
No, it's not. It should be Judy.
Judy. Yeah.
So he screwed up there. They include Squeaky Clean Judy, a Preppy Jay, Greaseball Sal, Gothic Angela, and her ditzy friend Suzanne. Black Preacher Son Roger, Fat Boy Stooge, Shy Helen, and sexually provocative Max and Franny. You don't have to be a detective to guess which two will survive. And you don't have to be a callow person to feel none of the others will be missed one bit.
I guess that's true, because they're not very likable, a lot of the characters.
The ads say Jason and Freddy are too scared to come. Though Freddy sent some of his one-liners and Jason some of his gore-mongering techniques. There are 2 or 3 decent effects, but they pass quickly. Tenney, whose debut was the disastrous Witchboard, which we have seen, Karen.
You didn't think that was disastrous.
I didn't. Does little with so little. And Augustine writes the film's epitaph at the first sign of demonic infestation when he has a character say, "We all experience the noise, the stink, and the chill." Well, the stink at least. Night of the Demons is rated R and contains nudity and some extreme gore. And that is the end of the review. Not very positive, I would say. Although spot on some
True.
points.
Yes.
Like I hadn't even read this before I mentioned Freddy and his one-liners, but pretty obvious.
Yeah, and it is a little Breakfast Clubby with all the different, very defined. It's a very 80s thing to have very defined groups in high school.
Uh-huh. It's very Breakfast Club, yeah.
Pulling each one together and, throwing. It's interesting that they all showed up together without being forced together.
True. I hadn't thought of that.
But that's an 80s thing to be you're in one box and you stay in that box.
As you do, Karen.
You're still in that box, Greg.
Karen, I'm a Renaissance man.
Except, see, I went from being uncool. Now I'm really cool, but back then I wasn't.
You think doing this with me makes you more cool, Karen?
Well, of course. My street cred goes up so much.
I wasn't cool either. Shit,
Yes, you were. Shut up.
I was banned. I was in band or drumline, but outsiders saw it as band. But I would quickly correct them. No, I'm not in the band. I'm in the drumline, asshole.
You weren't in the honor society.
No, I was not. Wouldn't let me in, Karen.
You applied and applied.
I hung out with the wrong crowd.
Yeah. That application's going to get burned every time.
And I may have cost some of my friends membership as well. Or so they tell me now, Karen. I don't know.
Oh, now looking back, it was all you.
Yeah, maybe they're just
Bitter.
pushing blame. I don't know. All right. Karen, are you ready to get into the film? Dissect it scene by scene and talk about its legacy.
And linger in some scenes longer than others, perhaps.
So is that a yes?
Let's go.
Night of the Demons from 1988. Rated R. Did you watch this on Amazon Prime, Karen, or some other streaming service? Or do you have a copy of the DVD at home?
No, I watched it on Amazon Prime.
All right. Well, there's warnings for nudity, violence, frightening scenes, alcohol use, foul language, and sexual content, Karen.
Wasn't a ton of alcohol, but a little bit.
All the good stuff. And we have credits. And right here, I wrote cool animation, Karen. I thought it was pretty good. They spent a lot on the animation.
Yeah, they did.
I'm not sure what percentage of the budget that was, but
Or someone knew someone.
could be.
Hey, if you do this for the movie,
they
you'll get
found
a lot
some-
of exposure.
Yeah, they found some intern or something, some
Right.
student. And right here, I wrote, I'm not crazy about the music already.
Yep. 80s synthesizer stuff.
Yeah, it sounded like, of course, they didn't compose on their computer. Well, I was going to say they didn't compose on their computers back in 1988, but theoretically, they kind of did because you're using MIDI, musical instrument digital interface, boys and girls, for those of you who don't know. You know, connect your keyboard and your drum machine all to one thing, and you record it on like a 4-track MIDI recorder. And so it's basically all digital. Electronic.
I thought it was just a Casio.
Same diff, Karen. Yes. Then I wrote 3.5 minutes later as the film starts. So 3.5 minutes, Karen, with credits. And we see who we learn is Stooge, drinking and driving.
Dressed as a pig.
He has a snout. That's all he's got, Karen. Not much of a costume. And they drive past an old man and he moons them.
Well, he's wearing jack-o'-lantern underpants.
Is he?
Yeah, he sticks his butt out the window.
Thought I just couldn't tell.
It's a jack-o'-lantern. So in the car is Helen, Stooge, and Roger.
Yes.
They're going to a party.
Roger dressed as a pirate, Helen in a toga, and Stooge, like I said, wearing a pig snout, and that's it.
They torment an old man that's on the street.
Yeah, and then another kid runs up to the old man and scares him with a rubber rat. But I wrote, the old man likes Earl Grey tea, so I like him for that. Because he drops his groceries and there's Earl Grey tea. I think it's Bigelow Earl Grey tea, which I'm not a big fan of Bigelow tea. But Earl Grey, yeah, it's pretty good.
It's good old man tea.
Yes, Karen, it is. Then a girl tries to help him, and he tells her to get away, or calls her a whore, doesn't he?
Yeah, he calls her a whore.
And that's who we learn is Judy.
And she was going to help him. She's a nice girl.
She's a nice girl. She's not a whore at all. And then we see he's picking up razor blades and apples, and apparently he's going to put razor blades in the apples and give it to the trick-or-treaters. That'll teach them. They'll all go to hell. They'll get what they deserve.
That was a big deal in the 80s, the razors in the apples. I know, but remember your mom was supposed to check your candy. We ate half our candy Well, she did, but I ate half my candy when I was walking around.
I wasn't allowed to eat anything that the wrapper was slightly torn.
Right, exactly.
And then later, once urgent care started coming around, they would I guess they still do. They could bring your candy and they will x-ray it to be sure there's no needles or razor blades. Whatever. Myth. Then we see Judy, who is the girl who tried to help the old man. She gets home and she wants to know if Jay calls. And while she's there, the phone rings and she says, I'll get it. And it's Jay. They're supposed to go to a Halloween dance, but he says, no, let's go to a party instead. And Judy's talking on the phone as she's changing into her costume, Karen.
Yeah. Were there more butt cheeks than boobs in this movie? It's close.
No, I think there's more boobs.
All right. There's a lot of butt cheeks in it.
But right here, we see her bare bottom, Karen, as she's changing into her costume. I guess you don't wear underwear with your Alice in Wonderland costume, Karen. Is that the deal?
Or she was
just put the hose on. I don't know. Whatever. But Jay convinces her that it will be fun going to the party instead of the dance. Come on. It'll be fun.
He's eating vanilla wafers. And I used to love those.
Oh my God, me too.
We both thought about vanilla wafers for just a second there.
I know.
There was a pause. Oh,
I was reminiscing.
Yeah.
I can't eat them anymore. No.
Nope.
So then Judy is scared by her brother. He pops out of her closet wearing a rubber mask. And like I mentioned earlier, comments on her rack.
She's in a bra and she had panties on then. She's in when he pops out.
Well, she has more than panties. Does she have I don't know. She's got something
she's
on.
In her bra.
Whatever those things are you put on your skirts that make them puff out. I think that's what she has on.
Oh, crinoline. That's
crinoline.
Right.
And a bra.
Yeah.
Very see-through. A very lacy see-through bra, Karen.
Yes.
Which I didn't hate. So then Sal arrives at the house and he wants to see Judy. Her brother answers the door and tells her that she's going on a date. They're going to a party. And Sal bribes the little brother to find out where the party is.
Yeah, he folds for just $1. He tells Sal for $1 because first Sal offered a quarter and he said no. Then he gives him $1 and
you think a loving brother would sell out his sister for a measly quarter? Or I think it was a nickel, he said. Didn't he say a nickel?
Oh, I don't know. Oh no, my brother lost me in a pool game once, so.
Oh, that'd be a story for another time, Karen. So then we cut to a convenience store and a girl is bent over.
More butt cheeks.
But she's got hose. So here's the thing I have to ask Karen. So this girl, she's bending over, right? She has her panties over top of her hose.
I didn't even notice, Greg.
How could you not? That's not a thing, is it, Karen?
I thought she had a garter on. So I thought she had.
No, it's hose. Because you can see the reinforced crotch area.
Man, maybe they were just protecting that. I don't know.
All right. I thought it was weird. But she's bending over and she's distracting the clerks, apparently, while who we learn is Angela shoplifts.
2 boys are the clerks. And they can't stop looking at her ass. And so Angela collects all kinds of stuff and walks out.
Can you blame them, Karen?
Well, I can. Maybe you can't, but she just has a bag and just fills it.
She does. Yeah, I mean, and she walks right past them. So that part is unexcusable, right? But not catching her putting shit in the bag is not unexcusable. And we learn that Suzanne is the girl bending over. So then Jay arrives at Judy's house to pick her up, and Mom offers Jay some fudge logs, Karen.
Yep.
They look delicious to me. I'd ate them.
I would have taken one. I don't know what they're supposed to look like poop, but I would eat them.
They are. They're supposed to look like poop. And they kind of do. And he declines.
But if you're at a girlfriend's house or picking up a girlfriend and the mother offers you something, you take it.
Oh, yeah, I take it.
Yeah, you don't refuse it. That's rude.
Yeah.
Or even the other way around. I'm saying if a parent of the person you're dating offers you, unless you're allergic or something like, oh, I can't eat peanut butter or whatever, you just, at least you take it. Even if you don't eat it, you take one.
Especially if Mom's kind of hot.
Yeah, she was cute. But it's just, etiquette. You want to get in good graces so you don't make yourself look rude.
Well, I'm not sure this guy really fucking cares.
No, he doesn't. That he's not likable.
Yeah, he's the preppy dude, and I don't really think he really cares about Judy at all, Karen. Just
No,
saying.
I don't think so either, Greg. But he tries to kiss Judy in the house, and she's like, no.
Yeah, she said no. So he tries to kissy face with Judy. She tells him to slow his roll, Karen.
Basically,
what I
yes.
wrote. And then we cut to Stooge and the others in the car. Whatever. They're just being dumbasses driving around.
Yeah, but he does have Helen take the wheel, and because there's a straight seat in the front of his car, they can slide over each other. Like he goes over the top and she slides under. Back when you could do that. You can't do that easily anymore.
No. And we see Jay and Judy, and they're picking up Max and Helen, right?
Yes.
In Jay's.
No, not Helen. Helen's in the car. No, Helen's in the car with.
Oh, yeah. They're picking up Max and Franny.
Yes.
In Jay's 1966 Mustang, Karen.
Yep.
2-door coupe. I wrote, looks like a 65 or a 66, but
I thought it was a 66.
I verified it's a 66. Karen?
I actually have some facts about Mustangs for you.
I'm pretty sure you've been in a 1966. Maybe not. I know you've been in a 1965 Mustang for sure.
I've been in both, Greg.
All right. Well, wow.
I know.
Lucky you.
Actually, yeah.
Any idea what a 1966 2-door Ford Mustang coupe went for? Brand new.
Two-door Mustang coupe.
Brand new. 1966. The manufactured suggested retail price is what I'm looking for, Karen.
$2,800.
Wow, that's pretty good.
What was it?
25-22.
Oh, I went over.
Little over. It's a lot better than I would have done, Karen. I'll tell you that. All right, Karen. What do you think you could buy that vehicle for now? You give me a price, I'll tell you where you're at in the low, mid, and high.
Well, I'm guessing they're expensive.
They can be.
I'm going to say $30,000.
You are just a little above the mid-range.
Okay.
Mid-range is $28,100.
I went over again, though.
You did. You always go over. Because you always have a fancy one with an
yes,
FM
I
radio.
Do. An air conditioning.
I'm not even sure it was an option.
No.
Well, you tell me, Karen. You've been in one. Was there air conditioning?
No.
Ooh, it was hot and steamy, was it?
Yes, usually it was.
Hello, boys and girls. Thanks for listening to the Scary Spirits podcast. Karen and I really have a great time putting these episodes together. If you enjoy what you hear, please consider taking the time to leave a review wherever you listen. Reviews really help independent podcasts find listeners. The more listeners we have, the easier it is for people to find us. Now, back to the show.
So then, Jay.
Wait. But I have Mustang facts for you.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Well, do tell. Because you've been in one, so tell me all about it.
Well, that doesn't have anything to do with that.
I've been in a 65. I'm not sure I've been in a 66.
Was that one hot and steamy, or were you just, cold?
No.
And
yeah, I was cold.
So I don't
turn on the seat heater. Go on.
So these are just general Mustang facts, not necessarily for the 1966 Mustang. But do you know what the 350 stands for?
Well, I owned a Mustang, Karen, so I've been in other Mustangs.
Do you know what the 350 stands for in the GT 350?
The displacement or some shit?
You would think it would be something like that, right?
Yeah.
It's the amount of steps it took to walk from the Ford production shop to the racing shop.
That's
Do you know
bullshit.
what the original name, one of the original names in the running for the Mustang was? Some of them even were produced with that logo.
A pony?
No, it was a Cougar.
Oh, there were Cougars. I'm sure you've been in a Cougar too, Karen.
I don't think so. No.
I don't know. I think, well, no, probably not.
Lee Iacocca was basically the inventor of the Mustang.
So the Ford model was the Mustang. The Mercury model was the Cougar.
But they were going to call the Mustang a Cougar
But they're
until-
basically the same.
before they settled on Mustang.
Yeah, just like you have the Ford Comet and the Mercury Maverick. They're the same, or they were.
Same
So
chassis
apparently
and
there's
stuff.
there's a Maverick now that's a pickup truck. But back in the day, back in the 70s and 80s, boys and girls, there was a Ford Comet and a Mercury Maverick, and they were the same vehicle. So that's what auto manufacturers do. So you had the Ford Mustang and the Mercury Cougar.
And Lee Iacocca, who I just said invented the Mustang, claims that the Mustang emblem runs to the left because it runs free in opposite direction of a racehorse. But the real reason was likely because the designer was left-handed, Phil Clark. And one of the original designs for the horse and corral on the Mustang's front grille had only the horse head rather than the running horse we know today.
Yeah.
So that's more than you ever wanted to know about Mustangs.
No, it is not, Karen. Not to me. I love Mustangs. Someday I'm going to own a 1986 Mustang, just like the one I had. But moving on. So Jay and Judy are driving and they see Stooge and the others. Guess they've got a flat tire or some shit, but they keep on driving.
Yeah, they make fun of them and pass them and leave them there, which
Yeah.
again makes them all unlikable. Only
True.
Judy says, "Oh, maybe we should have helped them." The rest of them don't even care.
Then they arrive at Hull House, which apparently is a former funeral home, Karen. And they talk about the history of the building.
Max is full of facts.
He is. He's very studious, Karen.
Yes, he is.
That's why he's dressed like a doctor.
Yes. The legend was that the whole family had a terrible end. One of the family members went crazy and slaughtered everybody and then committed suicide, but nobody could figure out who did it because there was so much blood and guts around. And Judy's not thrilled to be there when she hears this. And I did make a note. There is, of course, a full moon.
Didn't notice. So then Sal pops up from a casket and scares them.
They're inside the funeral home at that point.
Yeah, and I think Max drops his Coors and Sal picks it up and drinks it.
Which is the only real alcohol in the whole thing. But before that,
There's more.
We should mention, yeah, I guess they do start drinking later. Before they go in the funeral home, Max is dressed as a doctor and he has a stethoscope and he calls Judy over and they listen to the ground. And underneath the ground, there's a running stream. And then there's a wall built right on the stream. So that tells you where the stream is. So they say that the evil spirits in the area can't go over running water. So they can't go past the wall.
Ah, I do remember something about that. I don't remember the stethoscope, but I remember them talking about running
he had
water.
her listen with the stethoscope.
It was probably when I was looking up the 66 Mustang. So then Angela, Suzanne, and the others arrive. Then they begin to dance to a song which is very similar to, I think, the song Burn by Deep Purple. Are you familiar with Burn by Deep Purple, Karen? When they're playing that song, up until it started singing, because that kind of ruined it, but the instrumental part was very much like Burn. And then we see Suzanne warming her ass by the fire, I wrote, Karen. And then one of them turns on a strobe light.
Yeah, I tried to look up.
And I think, ooh, look, it's like I'm moving in slow motion.
It is cool. Strobe lights are cool.
But the effect is lost in a film, like, because
right, you couldn't really see it. Right. They couldn't really see it.
They dance. And I wrote they're drinking Coors and Strohs, Karen.
Yes, they are drinking then. I forgot about that.
Couldn't really see the Strohs label, but you could see the S. And I'm like, oh, that's Strohs. Strohs is Detroit beer, apparently. For some reason I thought it was a Cincinnati beer. Then Jay ditches Judy and starts dancing with Suzanne because,
because she distracts him. While they're dancing, Judy is off near the I don't know, snack table, I guess you would call it, trying to light some candles. And Angela comes up behind her and lights them with a
Her
match.
Bic. Well,
Well,
yes.
she has a match. Judy's trying to use the Bic and it won't work. It won't work. And then
True.
she puts it down on the table.
I almost made a note because I bet that's going to be important later.
Yes.
But I didn't.
And Angela says, well, don't leave it on the table. You're messing up the spirit's home or something. And Judy doesn't know whether to believe her. She's trying to scare her a little bit, but she picks up the Bic and keeps it. So it's not out to disturb the spirits.
Then while they're dancing, the music dies. I guess the batteries are dead in the boom box or whatever. Because back in the day, boys and girls, we didn't have cell phones. We could play music on whenever we wanted.
We went through a lot of batteries.
We went through a lot of C and D cell batteries with our big boom boxes.
Because obviously this place has no electricity. You couldn't plug it in.
So how'd they get the strobe light to work?
Those can have batteries too.
The one she was holding looked like one that plugged into a wall to me.
Well, it probably did, but.
All right. So then, since the music dies, Angela wants to play some games. Let's have a seance.
Yeah. Do you know what a seance is? Of course, it's an attempt to communicate with spirits. But do you know
Of course.
But do you know where the word comes from?
I do not, Karen.
Well, it's the French word for session, from the Old French to sit. So in English, well, you could basically use seance like I sat at the movies. It just means to sit in French. But in English, the word came to be used specifically for a meeting of people who are gathered to receive messages from ghosts or listen to a spirit medium discourse with or relay messages from spirits. This is funny. In modern English usage, participants need not be seated while engaged in a seance. In case you were wondering, you don't have to sit down.
Good to know, Karen. Then Stooge and Roger find a big full-length mirror that they can use for their past life seance, because apparently that's part of it. You have to look in a mirror.
And they all have to look in it.
To see who they've been in a past life.
Yes.
So they're looking in the mirror and it goes dark, and Helen sees a demon in the mirror and she screams and it falls and breaks, Karen. And right here I wrote, nice shot of the fractured mirror.
Yes.
Which you mentioned earlier. So we see a fractured mirror with all their faces and
each one's in a different piece of glass.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Then they hear knocking coming from the basement. And we cut down there and I wrote, the demon escapes, ? Because I'm not really sure. Then they all notice like a breeze and a foul smell, and Suzanne opens her mouth and the demon enters her, I wrote. Yeah,
they do. I mean, it's pretty accurate, or at least consistent with what people say would be happening. It gets very cold. There's a sulfur smell. They went through normal things that would be suggestive of at least a spirit. I don't know, a demon. But Suzanne is she's always putting on lipstick for this girl. And so her mouth
always looking at her compact.
Yes. And her mouth was open because she was putting lipstick on, and the demon went right in.
As they do. Then Angela explains that the smell and the cool breeze and everything they have experienced is a sign of demonic possession.
Yeah, because they also smell roses, so there's more than one demon there.
And Angela explains to them the difference between a haunted house and a house that is possessed. No ghosts, just possessed.
Yeah, haunted means that people have died and their ghosts stay there. Possessed means the entities that are there have never lived in human form. They're pure evil, so they're demons.
Roger and Helen decide they're going to leave. We're going to get the hell out of there.
Roger was like, I'm out. Yeah, I'm a preacher's kid.
He's the son of a preacher man. He knows what's going on.
His dad told him all about this. He needs to leave right now.
And Suzanne throws them Angela's car keys because they need a vehicle to get out. Apparently. I don't know why they couldn't walk, but whatever.
Well, they're miles from the town.
So then Jay and Judy and Helen and Max separate from the others. So the two couples kind of go off. Gonna look for some private spaces, Karen.
Investigate.
Then Suzanne asks Stooge to go with her to find the bathroom.
Sal volunteers, but
Sal
he's rejected.
offers, yeah, but no, he's rejected. But before she leaves, she gives Angela a big sloppy kiss, Karen.
The flames roar in the fireplace when that happens.
So Stooge and Suzanne find the bathroom.
Suzanne
cut back.
just goes in, right?
Yeah, we cut back to, Stooge says, well, I thought we could go in together. No. Then we cut back to Jay, Max, Helen, and Judy. And Max, being the studious person he is, he's telling them the history of the area that he learned from the librarian.
Yeah, about Indian tribes in the area and how that land was never settled on because they knew there was something wrong with it, but one brave did. And when they found him 3 weeks later, he was sitting under a teepee made out of his wife's intestines and eating the leg of his child.
Well, he used squall and papoose, but yes.
He did.
So then the couple split up. And
Yeah, Jay's giving Max the head shake, like, get out.
And Jay tries to make the moves on Judy, but she is not comfortable in such a creepy place, Karen.
Yeah, it would be a weird place.
She just wants to be held. Just hold me.
And he's not happy about that.
Then we see Roger and Helen, and they can't find their way out. The building appears to be surrounded by a brick wall. The gate is missing. And then suddenly Helen disappears. And Roger hears his name called, and he runs to Angela's car and locks himself in. And I wrote there's an Exodus sticker on the window, Karen. Do you notice
that? Is there a band? Is that a band?
Exodus, Karen, was a thrash metal band formed in 1979. Some of its most famous members, actually, Gary Holt, guitar player, is the only member who's played on every Exodus album. And he currently plays, I guess, in Exodus and Slayer. And Kirk Hammett, Kirk Hammett, Karen, you know who he is from Metallica?
Metallica, yeah.
A little band called Metallica. He was in Exodus before he joined Metallica. So yeah, thrash metal, Karen. So then we see Jay and Judy kissy facing. I guess she's done being held.
Or he's done with it.
And apparently Jay thinks that Judy has had sex with Sal, so he thinks that she's easy. Is that the deal here?
And that's why he went out with her.
Then once he learns that she's not, he just leaves and locks her in the room.
Yeah, he's done. He's like, he has no need for her anymore, so he leaves her.
Preppies. Then we come back to Stooge and Suzanne. And I wrote, Suzanne begins to turn. Stooge enters the bathroom and finds a broken mirror.
But no Suzanne.
Cut to Angela and Sal. And the music suddenly turns back on the boombox, Karen. Angela dances in front of the fireplace, and then the strobe light comes back on.
So she's dressed as Susie Sue.
Oh, is she?
Yeah, that's what I found, which I thought she was just like a witch or something.
I did too. I didn't mark what I would say Judy's the main character, but Angela is the only character in every film in the franchise.
Oh, okay. But Angela, and she's played by Amelia Kincaid, who choreographed her own mesmerizing possessed moves.
Ooh.
She becomes host to an evil spirit. In the midst of being overcome, the boombox kicks on abruptly to blast out Bauhaus's Stigmata Martyr is the name of the song.
Whatever. It was bad, whatever it is.
Well, it's apparently a very famous goth anthem like thing. If you're a goth person, I guess you would know this song and this band. And I probably pronounced it wrong, but
sounded like there was some backmasking in it. I'll say that. But whatever. Yeah.
But she dances. It's not even, I guess it's seductively, but there's more butt cheeks you get to see.
Yeah. Well, she, lifts her dress and we see her panties and garter belt and all that shit. Right.
It's a thong. Yeah. And she's breathing heavily and putting her hands all over herself. But she's not paying any attention to Sal. She's just like dancing. Like, ooh, I have a body.
Yeah, and then Stooge arrives, and Sal warns him that, dude, she's acting weird.
Yep. Don't go near her.
But Stooge is like, oh no, I'm totally into weird. And he begins dancing with Angela.
Yeah, they start slow dancing and Sal leaves.
And then they kissy face. And Angela bites his tongue off.
And then spits it out at him.
And then we cut back to Sal and he finds Suzanne. He tells her that she and Angela are too weird for him. Angela's putting lipstick on her face. And Sal leaves.
Sal looks like Luke Perry. Do you know who he is?
Yes, I know who Luke
looks
Perry
and
is.
Acts like him, kind of, or channels him or something.
So then Suzanne pulls open her top after Sal leaves and exposes her bare breasts, Karen.
Are you going to count those? I guess in the beginning they are real before he.
Then we see him again. And then we cut to Helen and Max. They find a coffin to have relations in because, I've never done that before. Get back to Suzanne putting lipstick on her breasts. And right here I was thinking, those don't look quite real. They're good, but not quite real.
Yeah, like it's a mask.
And she shoves the lipstick into her nipple.
It's weird. So she's drawn all over herself. The lipstick's all over her face and her breasts now. Pink.
Then Jay finds her and Suzanne unzips Jay's pants, Karen. Go back to Sal and he's telling Angela he's leaving. Angela at the fire with her hands in the fire, on fire.
He just says, I was just warming my hands in the fire. And she turns around and shows him, and her hands are basically on fire and all blistered.
Sal tries to leave.
But he can't. All the doors are locked.
Then we come back to Roger in the car, asleep, apparently.
See, but you've fallen asleep.
No.
No.
The car shakes and he wakes up. He finds that Helen's body is on top of the car. She gone.
He thought it was Stooge, but then he's trying to see out the windshield. He didn't get out of the car, which was a good move. But then Helen kind of slides down the windshield all bloody.
Then we come back to Jay and Suzanne getting naked.
Yeah, Jay's over Judy already. And Suzanne has those little Madonna Bobby socks on that people used to wear with high heels.
And then we have full frontal nudity here, Karen, with Suzanne.
I was surprised, but yes.
You're kind of doing one of those can dances with no panties on. Then I wrote they have relations.
In the middle of relations, Suzanne
turns and gouges out Jay's eyes. Says, quit looking at me. Stop looking at me.
And she has real bad teeth now. And contacts, like yellow eyes or something.
So then we cut back to Franny and Max in the coffin.
Yeah, they heard Jay scream.
And we see two more bare breasts, Karen.
So when Franny, she kind of sits up in the coffin and you see her breasts. Made me think about breast implants, Greg.
Did it?
Yeah, I don't think those are real.
You don't?
Mm-mm. Too round.
Okay.
But do you want to know when
You think Suzanne's looked real? Her real ones looked real?
More.
Her faked ones looked like her real ones, but did her real ones look real?
Yeah. More real than...
It's 1988, Karen. Were there a lot of breast implants going on in 1988?
There were, Greg.
87 or 6?
Actually, the first boob job was performed in 1895. It was done.
Was it a reduction or a implant?
No, it's more a reconstruction. It was done by a surgeon named Vincent Cerny. He removed the tumor from a woman's breast, and then to keep them looking symmetrical, he placed fat into the breast, which was extracted from the thighs of that woman. So it was more a reconstruction. But it was interesting, all these different things they've tried. And I'm guessing they were used both for augmentation, but also for reconstruction. Paraffin and Vaseline injections, fat from the lower back, a benign fatty tumor, a lipoma, was removed from the lower back and placed in the breast. Here's things that I thought were ridiculous. In the 1900s, these things were tried: ivory, glass balls, ground rubber, ox cartilage, wool, polyethylene chips, sponges, foam sponges, polyethylene tape that was wound into a ball.
Well, Karen, you just keep throwing things at the wall and see what sticks.
It's just crazy.
We got to have good breasts. I don't know.
They started with silicone when they would inject that in, but then that turned bad, and then silicone breast implants turned bad. So now they're mostly saline, in case you were wondering.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that sounds familiar to me, Karen.
Yeah, hers did not look natural to me.
Franny's.
Yeah. Maybe not. She's awfully young. I'd be surprised if
she really
had
I mean, she ain't a teenager.
Well, she's
playing a teenager, but she ain't a teenager.
So anyway, got a little sidetrack there.
Understandable, Karen. Then Stooge arrives and breaks Franny's neck.
Right off the bat. Yeah. He's all turned now.
Yeah.
He doesn't just walk in as himself. He's got the demon look.
She gone. And then he pounds the coffin down on Max's arm repeatedly until it severs.
So he bleeds out.
And he gone. I'm sure he bleeds out. Yeah. So then Angela finds Roger. He runs away and he runs into Sal and warns him. Then we see Stooge trying to open the door where Judy is. Sal and Roger find Judy and Sal kicks in the door and Judy hugs him. So do you think Sal is the most, well, it's probably not the most likable, but
I thought he might make it to the end.
Himself,
yeah,
right?
He's trying to save her.
He's a total douche throughout the whole movie but in the end, he's a good dude, right?
Yeah, he's just he's like the tough guy who's a sweetheart. He's almost if you were going to put him in the box, what do you call it? The greaser or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
But he has the heart of gold.
Yes. He's gruff but lovable. So then Angela arrives. Judy and Sal lock themselves in the room. The lights come on and they find they are in the same room as Suzanne and Jay.
Yeah, so this is where isn't all the doors are closing and
Mm-hmm. So Sal tells Judy to run and Suzanne goes after Judy, but Sal tries to stop her and she throws Sal through a window.
Okay.
And then all the doors in the house start to close. Judy finds herself in the room with Max's severed arm. It grabs Judy's ankle. And right here, I wrote nice effect. I mean, I thought that was pretty good.
That was pretty good. And it burns her lower leg.
Then the coffin opens and Max and Helen go after Judy and she runs out of the room. Cut back to Sal. He appears to be okay. He's in an air shaft and he hypothesizes that there is no way out. He's like one of these characters that verbalizes what he is thinking so we know what's going on, right? Then Judy finds Roger, but Stooge intercepts.
Well, he's going to climb out with a water pipe, he says. Thank God for water pipes or something like that.
Stooge stops him. She runs away and runs into Suzanne, and then she runs away again. This is maybe when the Alice in Wonderland thing starts occurring to me.
I said it a little earlier.
Yeah, I probably did too. So then we see Judy on the roof, and Roger tries to warn her about Angela, who's up there too, but Angela grabs Judy. Sal arrives and attacks Angela, and Sal and Angela fall off the roof, and Judy is hanging there from the roof.
Yeah, and that's where she says, I can't do it. I can't do it. And Roger's like, just do it.
Yeah,
you have to
scoot down a few feet.
Down and,
So Roger tries to talk Judy through getting out of her predicament.
It's like Judy's a wimp. Because earlier when I think Sal had her and he's like, when she got out of the room, he's like, run. And she's just like, collapses to the floor and says, I can't. And now she's doing the same thing. I can't. I'm like, what? Save yourself, sister.
Maybe the Alice in Wonderland costume is prohibiting her from running. So then Stooge arrives and Judy falls on top of Roger from the roof.
Sort of catches her, but not really.
No, not at all.
But he
breaks her
fall. Yeah.
But she falls on top of him. So then they run away from Stooge. Angela stops them. They run away again. They end up locking themselves in the crematorium.
Sal falls off the roof. There's already a tombstone with his name on it. It says Sal Morone or something, whatever his birthday is. And then it
1970 was his birthday. I didn't
it
remember
says
that.
today.
Today
Like-
was his death day. So he's impaled. Apparently he fell on a piece of wood or something. He's impaled.
Yeah, I thought maybe he was going to make it. And then I saw that and I'm like, no, he's
Nope.
not.
He gone. And then Roger and Judy share a moment I wrote.
Are they laughing or crying? I couldn't tell.
Yes. It's exactly what they're doing. They laugh and then they start crying. More Roger than Judy. But Judy finds a door and wants to get out. But Roger wants to pray first, Karen. Judy says she's been praying all night. She just wants to go.
Yeah, it's not working.
Judy opens the door and finds that is where the bodies are burned.
Yeah, the oven.
The oven.
The crematorium area, I guess. Because she finds a skull in it. So
She
that's
does.
not a way out.
So then Stooge and Angela arrive and they try to break in to where they are in the crematorium. And then Judy figures out, Karen, that the demons cannot go back to hell because it's Halloween.
Yeah, now all of a sudden she's the smart one. She's going to know if they just make it to the morning,
Just
they'll
have
be
to
okay.
make it till morning and then we'll be fine. But the hinges on the door begin to fall apart, Karen.
The demons are getting in. I will say, I don't know if we mentioned it, but Angela is the main demon, I would say. And when she moves through the house, it's almost like
Well,
she's
it's her
on
party.
yes, it's almost like she's on a Roomba. Like she's supposed to be floating. Did you notice that?
No.
She doesn't walk, she floats. So and every time my notes are like, Angela's on her Roomba. Angela's on her Roomba because she's floating. I'm sure it wasn't that because they weren't around then, but something is making her
Segue.
move. They weren't around then either, probably.
1988.
I don't know. But anyway, she floats when she moves, which is kind of a cool effect.
Then Judy gets into the oven and she separates a pipe.
She's looking for a weapon. She says, we need a weapon. We need a weapon. And then she breaks the pipe and realizes gas is coming out.
And she tries to flick her Bic to try to ignite it.
Which what do most crematoriums use for gas? And it's natural gas.
Is it?
Yeah. Sometimes they'll use diesel oil, but obviously this was natural gas. So
Well, right here, I was thinking, if there's a flint in that Bic, that gas is going to ignite. Doesn't matter if you get a flame or not. That's what I was thinking.
and so, and she's holding the pipe
Yes.
and she lights
Holding the
gas
pipe in one hand and flicking her Bic with the other.
And once that fire starts, I would assume that pipe would get really hot.
I don't know. It's not,
She can hold it.
the fire is not going into the pipe, right? Because it needs oxygen. So it's,
It would go in a little bit.
okay.
I think it would warm the pipe.
Then
I mean,
Stooge,
when we see explosions, they light it at one end, the whole freaking house goes up.
in the movies, yeah.
Yeah.
So then Stooge and Angela enter, and she torches them with the gas from the pipe. So
But
apparently,
but there's
it
high
lit
tension.
just in time.
Yes, because she's flicking.
Flicking,
Just
flicking,
like
flicking. And like I said, if there was flint in there making a spark, that gas would ignite.
yes. But that flashes back to when she was trying to
that's-
light the candles.
Karen, so you know, that's how a big lighter works. You flick the flint and hold down the thing so the gas lights from the flint spark. Okay. Just so we know how a big lighter works.
I did not have that on my bingo card.
So then Judy tells Roger to find the valve to turn off the gas. And reluctantly he does.
Yeah, he's almost comatose or something.
And then a skeleton arm grabs Roger from inside the oven, and all the doors in the building begin to shut again. I don't know how they're shutting again because they're already shut once, but whatever. And then Roger and Judy try to get out, but all the doors are locked. And then Jay, Angela, Sal, and Helen and Franny, I guess, they all converge on them. They're all like zombified or demons or whatever. Roger jumps out a window and
Miraculously, he just gets out. I'm like, why didn't they do that earlier?
yeah, and I thought he was like jumping out like a second story window or something, but no, he gets up and says, I'm alive. Well, duh. Because Judy just like walks right out. It's like ground level window. Whatever.
Oh, here's one. Okay, so this is with the one zinger that I wrote down. So Jay comes towards Judy, and I was wondering where he was. I was like, oh, there he is. And then someone says, what's the matter, Judy? Don't you like your blind date?
Yeah, Angela says that.
Wasn't she burned, though? Who was burned down in the...
Angela?
Who came in with Stooge? Was it
Angela? Stooge and Angela, I wrote.
So she was fine after she got burned?
I guess so.
Well, she comes back later, so...
Stooge is there too, but he's obviously burned.
I don't think she was, though.
I don't think she was.
I didn't pay
Maybe
enough
she
attention.
Was. I don't know. So then they try to climb up the brick wall using apparently barbed wire that's been left there for them to climb up.
Yeah, it's just the one piece that's hanging there.
How convenient. So Roger gets to the top and tries to pull Judy up.
And this is where she goes, I can't do it. I can't do it. I'm like, you just burned demons. You can do it.
Stooge and the others arrive and grab Judy's feet, and they try to pull her down. Roger loses his grip and falls down the other side of the wall.
There's no way 5 demons pulling her in one direction and Roger trying to pull her over. The demons are going to win.
We see Judy hanging on the barbed wire as the demons try to pull her down. Roger gets back on top of the wall and puts his hand down and grabs Judy and pulls her up. And they fall on the other side of the wall. Then all the demons go up in smoke, Karen, just like the Cheech and Chong movie.
Well, because the sun came up, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, the sun's coming up. So the Froggy's fog comes out and they all dissolve.
And then we see the demon head above the wall and it collapses upon itself. And then we see the sunrise. So I suppose that's why, but it's not in order. So then we see Judy and Roger walking home the next morning. They pass the old man getting his paper. He says they will all rot in hell. Just now getting home.
Get off my lawn.
So the man goes inside his house and his wife serves him some pie.
For breakfast, yes.
Some apple pie for breakfast, Karen.
That's the best. Pie for breakfast.
And she tells him that they didn't get as many trick-or-treaters as usual, so she used the apples that he bought for the trick-or-treaters. She doesn't know why he buys so many.
Yeah, because kids don't go to a house that give out apples.
So his neck starts bleeding. Apparently he's eating apple pie with razor blades in it, and he gone.
The whole razor blade that he didn't notice was in his mouth.
Right.
And cuts through his neck and he bleeds out. And he does not hold still.
No, he doesn't.
And she just kisses his top of his head and says, Happy Halloween. Do you think she did it on purpose?
Hell yeah, she did.
Okay.
Did she say, Happy Halloween, dear?
She did.
Is that what she said, dear?
Well, I don't know if she said dear. She said Happy Halloween.
And then credits, the end. Anything we learned today, Karen?
This one was a stretch. There wasn't a lot to... Well, I say that more often than not, but what did we get?
66 Mustang. Tell us some facts about the Mustang and the Cougar.
Mustang's facts. Seance. That Angela was dressed up as Susie Sue. So we got Susie Sue in there, and what the song was that she danced to, which was a goth kind of anthem, Stigmata Martyr. A little bit about breast implants and a tiny bit about what gas they use in crematoriums. You got some Exodus info in there.
Okay. How did you enjoy your gin and tonic, Karen? Was it good?
I do enjoy a gin and tonic.
My possession punch has evaporated.
The whole pitcher or just the one drink?
Just one drink. I got more.
It's got fizz though, so you can't wait too long on it. You know? You might be able to bottle it. You could bottle it, but
no, I'm not bottling it. I ain't got time for that. I could, but I ain't got time for it.
But I don't think you can store it in the refrigerator unless you like flat beer.
It's a punch.
Yeah, but there's beer in it.
It'll be fine.
I'm sure you'll suffer through it.
I'll let you know next week how it was, Karen. I'll text you every time I have a drink. Say, yep, still fine.
I look forward to it.
Or No, it's a little flat today. I'm missing the fizz from the IPA. Still has the IPA flavor, but not the fizz.
The flavor's probably more intense.
All right. Well, the possession punch was delicious. That's all I can say.
After the ice melted, it got better.
Oh, yeah, for sure. As it usually does. It's not so biting or smoother, I guess is the term I'm looking for. All right, Karen, next film. I believe it must be your choice since this was my choice. Is that true? Or am I doing two in a row?
Nope, it's my choice.
Okay. And what film have you chosen for us next week?
I have chosen the 1963 movie, The Terror.
The Terror from 1963, starring
Jack
Boris
Nicholson.
Karloff, right?
Is it Boris Karloff or Bela Lugosi?
It's Boris Karloff and Jack Nicholson, right?
I do have a drink, Greg.
You do?
Yeah.
What would that be, Karen?
It's called the Black Widow cocktail.
What are we going to need for that?
Because you're going to need blackberry juice, which you can make with a half a tablespoon of lemon juice.
It. Just go to the store
and a half a cup of blackberries. I don't know if they'd have blackberry juice.
Yeah,
do they?
you can find blackberry juice, I'm sure.
You're going to need 1 ounce of simple syrup, 4 ounces of blackberry juice, and 2 ounces of vodka, some ice, and some blackberries for garnishing.
Okay, I got all that. Even the blackberries for garnish.
Just throw it all in a cup and stir and garnish with the blackberries. And if you could get a hold of some dry ice, use it just before serving.
Okay. I look forward to that, Karen.
You want to know why I picked it?
The film?
Yeah.
Yeah. Why did you pick this film, Karen? Why would you pick The Terror?
Because it premiered.
1963.
This premiered on November 8th, which is when the podcast that we record for it will come out.
60 years ago. Is that right? Yeah, 60 years ago.
Yep. See a baby Jack Nicholson. Not a big fan of his, so.
Isn't this like his first film or something?
I think so.
Okay. Anyone you need to thank this week, Karen?
I'd love to thank our listener. There's a lot of podcasts out there. Thank you for spending time with us. What about you, Greg? Who do you need to thank?
Once again, Karen, I need to thank the band Verse 13 for providing all the music in the Scary Spirits podcast.
The music definitely makes the podcast better.
Anything else, Karen?
Please drink responsibly.
Yes.
Thanks so much for listening. Want to keep in touch? Check out our website, scaryspirits.com. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Scary Spirits Podcast. Find us on YouTube at Scary Spirits Podcast. If you have questions or comments, you can email us at info@scaryspirits.com. To help us grow the podcast, you can leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. We really do appreciate your support. And as always, please drink responsibly.